host, Matt Bardeen. I've got with me a very special guest tonight, Richard Shelton from Multicopter Builders. He does a lot of mid-range stuff, but his frame is incredibly popular with the long-range crowd. So I wanted to have him on and just talk to him. And he's also pretty old school, so it's interesting. It'll be interesting to get his views on what the hobby's like and how it's been evolving over the years. And yeah, so let's get into it. Welcome, Richard. Nice to have you on board.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So you're old school. How did you get into this hobby? When did you get into this hobby?
I got in this hobby about 6 years ago. My wife was pregnant and I needed a hobby, so I started flying like helicopters. Went to the hobby shop and got one of those $100 helicopters and crashed it within 10 minutes and destroyed it. So I went and got another one, destroyed that, and within a week I already broke 5 of them. So I was like, this sucks. So I said, hey man, isn't there something more durable, something that comes back to home or something? And they said a DJI Phantom, and it had just come out that week. So I'm like, it's $900. So I ended up buying it anyway. Yeah. I flew for a while and it flew away on me.
Oh crap!
Flying back to China. So anyway, I ended up going through about 6 DJI Phantoms about a year.
At $900 a piece. Ouch.
Yeah. So, and then I got into the DJI 550 and was building those, and then I opened up my shop around then too.
Okay.
And was selling a lot of parts and stuff like that. But what really got me going was I designed these arms for the 550 that kept the copter up in the air for 20 minutes rather than 12 minutes.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what kind of got my shop going.
So were you doing long range then, or were you just doing mid range? What kind of flying were you doing?
I was just trying to fly.
trying to keep it off the ground.
Yeah. I think a lot of us start out like wanting to do video stuff, but once you like go within 100 miles of everything that's good in your area, there's nothing left. So then you start flying faster, and that's what I started doing, is trying to punch gaps with the DJI Phantom and stuff like that, and it just didn't work well. But if you look at my YouTube, I got a video from way back in the day of me like flying like real low to the ground, all like, mini quad style, and it's slow as hell, and it's just goofy looking.
I think you posted that somewhere. I remember seeing that.
Yeah.
That was impressive flying with a Phantom.
Yep.
So yeah, now you opened up your shop. Is your shop mainly online sales, or do you have a brick and mortar as well?
It's strictly all online
okay.
sales. This business is hard to make any money. Everything is so, everything moves so fast that you can't like keep anything on the shelf too long, or you end up paying for it. You end up giving it away for, half of what you paid for it and losing money in every situation and stuff. So it's a very tough business to be in.
Yeah.
Another real job that supports, everything else I need. This basically covers the hobby part of it, but
okay.
A little bit more.
Yeah. I've debated opening up my own shop here in Chile just to supply local pilots, but I don't think there's enough market there. Mike says, don't listen to a word he says.
I know. I'm looking good. What's up, Mike Stevens? You need to have that guy on the show. He's a good guy. And
yeah, I've been following him. I've been following Mike Virgin, and yeah, I want to get a bunch of guys on the show because I see these guys online, but I never get to talk to them. So
yeah,
this is my way of meeting these people and introducing people to other people.
Yeah, just growing the hobby, man. Works for me.
Exactly. So, so you're basically online, and your shop has some cool stuff in it. I like the philosophy you have, because you've got this, I suppose, dichotomy. This I'd say tension, but not really. But you have the guys that really want to go long range, so they're looking to go a little bit slower and get as much flight time as possible. And then you've got guys like yourself and Mike Virgin who are more interested in doing cool shit.
A little range versus long range. You're a long range by heart, and I just don't have the balls to go out that far. I get too nervous. I get sweaty. I get dizzy. I'm like, oh, this is too much for me. I get anxiety when I'm flying. I get all dizzy in the goggles and stuff. So anything past like a mile is too much for me, pretty much. But you know, for a mini quad, a mile seems like forever anyway. So
it does. And I don't know. I don't think of myself as like very courageous. I'm stupid, and I've got a lot of money to spare. So
a lot of quads. You know what? I have 7 quads, and everyone goes, "Just fly them out, and you got 7 damn quads." And I'm like, I'm too nervous, man. So
it's just a bit of carbon and plastic. I mean,
I know.
If you lose it, it doesn't hurt too much. The GoPro, that hurts, but
yeah, the GoPro definitely hurts. And you know, I've had my share of crashes in the mountain. One which I tore my meniscus in my knee trying to go through it. So I mean, it's kind of it's one of those risk reward things. Is the footage going to be worth doing it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep. That's always my issue is like the just recently I went up to the volcano and I tried to fly to the top of the volcano, and I got to the point where, you know, the crossfire was having a little bit of trouble, and I was like, do I really want to walk that far? No. I'm just going to turn around and come back, and I still got great footage off of it. So, you know, it's your level of comfort. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? You say I'm a long range flyer at heart, but not so much. I like more the mid-range stuff. Okay. So a lot of my more popular videos are like they're probably 2 miles at most. So
yeah, that's to me that's verging definitely on long range.
Yeah, it's a 5-inch.
Okay.
it's a 5-inch. I mean, that's not too bad on a 5-inch. Okay, maybe not 2 miles, 2 kilometers. Yeah.
This is the first MB Epic from about 4.5 years ago. It was the first quad that I designed. It's a 380. It's covered in dust because I haven't flown it in forever. And let me see what motors are even on this thing.
12?
No, 2217, 1300 kV, 8-inch prop.
8-inch props.
Yeah.
Wow, that's actually a nice combination.
I actually have some video on my YouTube of this thing, and it gets extremely clean video, probably because it has a dirty and clean plate.
Yep.
Way back in the day. But I think, you know, everything else was hard mounted, and I think, you know, the flight controllers were just more simple back then, and they just worked.
Yeah, I've been on it about this for ages. I really don't know what's going on with the flight controllers these days, because I think that they've gotten so into the 5-inch that they've kind of overtuned for 5-inch. Yeah,
absolutely. Everything's geared toward 5-inch, and when you throw anything else on it, it's just hard to get it tuned and hard to get a smooth.
Exactly. I mean, I've got my QAV 540 there, kind of as a test bed with KISS, the KISS FC, KISS CC, or no, KISS ESCs, and getting clean footage out of that is like, it's really impossible. It's just kind of wobbles around, kind of balances.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. Whereas on a CC3D, I think I was running on it way back in the day, it flew fine.
That CC3D took a lot more skill to fly back then than any of the flight controllers today. I mean,
yeah, definitely. You see Juice's old videos, Justin's old videos. He's manhandling that, and it's just amazing what he does with it. But it's so smooth.
Well, we went from that big quad to this is my MB Epic 262.
I've been looking at that. I like that. I like that frame, how that's designed.
Yeah, it's got the GoPro up front. Doesn't have the props in the view. The battery centered in the middle there.
Yep.
And I'm actually running these foam arms. And have you ever seen these foam arms before?
Actually, the G2 has something like that.
Okay.
So it's got a foam core.
Yeah, super stiff arms and still maintaining a super light profile.
Yeah, very nice. So what's the weight on those frames?
Dry weight is around 410 grams or so.
Okay.
You know, without the GoPro or battery.
Yep. Okay. So that's 6-inch, right?
Yeah, that's 6-inch. And then I have a MB Epic 229 V2, which is a 5.5-inch version of that, but the frame's a little bit smaller, and the dry weight of that frame is around 105 grams.
105. So that's really nice.
Yeah, so it ends up to be around 380 or so, all built out without the GoPro and the battery.
Yeah. Okay. So that's on the heavier side for the frames, but even 5.5 kind of makes up for that. The 5.5-inch props.
Yeah, the 5.5 definitely makes up for it. I don't even own a 5-inch quad anymore because the power difference is so huge.
Yeah, and you're running pretty much exclusively 5S systems, right?
Yeah, just the 4S, just yeah, it's just not enough power, man. I'm a power junkie. Once you get to that stuff, you can't go backwards. It's just.
Yep. So that's what calls my attention to your builds. Is you typically use higher kV motors and you use 5S on 6-inch or 5.5-inch props, right?
Yep.
So I'm curious. You have to be really careful with the throttle, right?
No, I'm on the 2207 2450s. I could go full throttle, and it pulls just about the same amps as a 5-inch gym fan prop on 645 biprops. So it's pretty equal, but you have a ton more power and a lot more speed of the 6-inch and stuff. But you know, in the style of flying, you kind of just hit the throttle a few times, and you're 100 feet up in the air. So you're not really staying on it like an airplane style flying. And these fast motor combinations, you know, are pretty extreme, but they're pretty efficient at lower throttle. So you could cover a lot of ground and not suck up too much amps. So,
okay. So yeah, when you look at that, you have to look at the wattage as well, because if you look at just the amps, it's a little bit deceiving. You increase the voltage, but you decrease the amps.
I agree. The craziest combo that I have right now is my MBF or the Primo 2208 2550 kVs.
Okay, yeah.
And those will nuke a pack, like, you know, after a couple of seconds. I mean, but they also are very efficient down low, like 30-40% throttle. You could fly for 4 minutes on a 5S 1500.
Okay, that's pretty decent. That's pretty decent, and you're moving along pretty good at that with that combination, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you done any like efficiency testing or anything like that?
No, not really. I basically, because you can control your efficiency through your throttle. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. As long as it stays in the air, that's good.
Yep. So, and there's a million guys flying these setups, so you know they really do work good.
Interesting. I'm gonna have to try that. I've got the closest setup I've got is I've got a Flying Cinema X24 there with the F80 2200 kV motors, and that runs 6-inch props. I've been wanting to run that on 5S, but have had problems with the ESCs.
You know what? We run the SpeedX HV 30 amps, and
okay.
I basically run a cap, like 5 caps actually.
Okay.
One on each ESC and a big one on the battery plug. And that keeps the noise down and it keeps it from messing up the 5-volt regulator when you know, hit the throttle real hard and let off and stuff.
Okay.
You don't get this the flight controller.
Yeah, my problem has been the ESC. Well, I bought Cobra 35 amp ESCs. They're supposedly rated up to 6S, and they just haven't survived. I'm not exactly sure what the hell I'm doing wrong, but they just. I've had 2 of them go out. One of them went out in the blaze of glory. So
yeah, you know what? I've haven't really blown up any of those SpeedX in like a year and a half of flying them. I mean, they are a durable, cheap ESC that works great as long as you have the caps on there.
Okay.
I think that's a big thing with flying 6-inch. You got to get the noise out of the system. Otherwise, it doesn't fly good, doesn't fly smooth.
Okay.
And
Well,
you get voltage spikes.
very interesting. I'm going to have to take a look at that. JTan says he is running Wraith 32s on 5S. Mike Stevens said his 7-inch 4S did 3 miles in 9 minutes. And Epic 6-inch did 3 miles in 7 minutes.
Yeah, he's one of the crazy guys that likes to push the limits and go way the hell out there. So
3 miles isn't that far.
for me it is. That's eternity.
Yeah. Excellent. So what kind of setup are you running now? I know you're running on the goggles, or on the quad. You're running the 262. What kind of setup are you running for ground station?
I'm running this bad boy right here. It's a I am running 632. What are they called in here? Hold on. It's the FR632.
Okay.
Old school diversity setups.
Yeah, but those are really good.
Yeah, they are, and that's why I continue to use them. And I got one of those Demon Diversity orlicles, and this thing goes out forever. I don't have to worry about my video going out or nothing. I mean, this thing gives you a lot of confidence when you fly it, and the true RC.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, those things are sick. It's a pretty expensive setup as far as getting it up and running, but once you have it, it gives you a ton of confidence. And quads are expensive when you lose them anyway, right?
Yeah, indeed. I'd rather spend the money on a good ground station than on the quad, because
especially when you're out 2 miles out and your video starts fading out, and you're like, oh shit.
No, never been there. Never done that before. Have you thought about going to anything like 2.4 gigahertz for your video?
No, mainly because I got 7 quads and I don't want to switch all this crap up, and it's just easy. Just going old school.
I hear that.
I used to run 1.3 on all my old quads about 4 years ago and stuff, but even that had problems, just trying to get the separation of the video equipment, the UHF, and all that stuff. So it's, 5.8's easy. It's clean. It's easy to carry around. It's ready, available everywhere. So
you've got it on your goggles. So if you don't want to set up your ground station, you can just fly with that.
Well, actually, I use Cinemizer goggles, so I have to fly with the ground station.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
And basically, I've been flying those for about 4 years, so I'm totally used to them, and there's no going back. So
yeah,
I don't
those are old.
Ground station. It takes 30 seconds to set up, and I'm good to go. So
yeah, those are old school the Cinemizers.
Yeah, but the picture is so clean, even though like some people say it's like looking at like a screen in a movie theater, like you're kind of set back. But
yeah, okay.
Visually, like the screen's like, I mean, the clarity is like really good. So I'm just used to it. And
have you tried the Fat Shark HDs or?
Yeah, I have, and they're just not even as clear as my goggles. And it just like, I don't know, just the field of view is just kind of bug-eyed for me. I just can't like them.
I tried a friend's Sky Zones and found them actually reasonably decent. The field of view isn't as big as my HDs. I've got the original HDs, but the picture is just it was clean. I really liked it.
Yeah. And when you're flying the mountains and you get those little scraggly bushes and stuff, you need to be able to you're stuck on the side of a cliff somewhere, Yeah,
if you notice in my videos, I don't get too far down close to the ground because I just don't want to go hiking for it.
But when I'm flying in the San Andreas, like thankfully there's hardly any shrubs on those mountains, so you can carve them pretty close. But if you go up in the mountains and stuff, it's a whole nother story. It's hard to get close. And, these guys are pushing their limits way up on the sides of those hills, and it just, I don't know.
Yeah. Speaking of which, did you see the Bryce Prestwich's recovery video from his crash?
Yeah, that sounds like a mission up there, and dealing with the snow and trying to find it, and that's some crazy ballsy ass flying.
That's hardcore. That's hardcore. I have a lot of respect for Bryce. He's I have to say he's my hero now.
Yeah, I don't have the balls to get that crazy. That's for sure. And I got 7 quads, and I could donate one at any time, but it just makes me too nervous.
Yeah, I don't have the money to fly like that.
Yeah.
If I had a sponsor, if somebody was giving me equipment to do crazy shit, yeah, I'd probably do that. But no, it takes me too long to get stuff in, and yeah.
Yeah, it takes 3 weeks for you to get any parts anyway, according to your last show.
Exactly. So, I try to be more or less conservative. Plus, I don't like leaving stuff on the mountain. That's no fun.
You can't sleep at night. You're wondering, oh man, I need to get that back. How the hell am I going to get it back?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. The quad, one of the first quads I've lost, I spent a long time figuring out how I'm going to get that back. But, after you lose 2 or 3 in spots where you're just not going to be able to recover it, you get over it.
I've actually only lost 1 quad in the last, 5 or 6 years. And it happened to be a fail-safe over the mountain. The quad just fell out of the air. Mm-hmm. And I went up searching for it. And it was early spring, and the weeds were real high, and there's rocks everywhere, and there's holes everywhere. And I'm up there hiking up the mountain, and I'm about to jump from one rock to the next. And in mid-step, I see a 5-foot rattlesnake sitting on top of the rock. And I'm about to step on its back, and in midair, I spring sideways like a cat and fall over, and I'm trying to get away from it as fast as I can. I was like, holy crap, I almost just got bit by a rattlesnake. So I said, you know what? Hell with it. I'm done looking for this quad. I'll just call it a day. I don't need to die up here.
Yeah, exactly. That's my guiding philosophy is no quad is worth dying for. It's just a piece of plastic. Yeah, it's got a GoPro on it. Yeah, maybe it has great footage on it, but yeah, at the end of the day, you can always get more great footage.
Yep, you can always do it all over again.
Yeah, I think my first lost quad was in Hawaii. So I spent probably about 2 hours in the Hawaii bush looking desperately for my quad, and I had no water, nothing like that. I was woefully unprepared to actually go look for the quad. And I was flying out that day. So it was, either find it or that's it. And of course I didn't find it.
Yeah, and that place is so full of, shrubs and bushes and all that stuff. It's impossible. You could be right next to it and not even know it.
Exactly. I mean, it was a cliffside, and I was looking at it, and I was like, no, I can find it. But you get up there, and, it looks kind of smooth. It looks kind of, just vegetated. But really, the vegetation is up over your head. You can't really see where you're stepping. At one point I was stepping around rocks that were like this big, and I just couldn't see them. So no, after that, you get to the point where just leave it. Jason is asking, are all those patches plumbed in on that ground station simultaneously?
Well, they're basically 3 different FR632s, and then the Demon Diversity picks the best antenna that's getting the best signal at the time.
Okay. I got a question about that. Is that doing it through, it's got to be analyzing the video rather than a RSSI?
Yeah, it's I will actually put up the link in the box there of the equipment that I'm using. But yeah, okay. I think it's out the best signal at the given time. But when I have all those pointed up at the mountain, I mean, it hardly changes anything.
Yeah.
But if I want to fly all the way around me, I just turn, I just point 360 direction, and I could basically fly anywhere.
Yeah, that's a really nice setup. I mean, I don't do a lot of 360-degree flying. I mean, I do sometimes, depends on where I am, but usually I'll pick a direction where I want to go and then just go in that direction.
Yeah, see, I always try to fly around me a little bit more, and a lot of times, like, it just adds a little more dimension to the video if you're flying. Like, people like play the game Where's Waldo? They don't know where I'm at when I'm flying. So it just gives a little more dimension to the video.
Yeah. I go far enough out where my battery is the limitation. So
yeah,
get out really far in one direction and then come back, and that's it for the battery.
That's it.
Yeah, that's kind of the reason I was asking about the 2.4 gigahertz. 2.4 gigahertz video, because even with an Omni, you get out pretty far. You can get out at least 2 to 3 miles with an omnidirectional antenna on 2.4.
Yeah, I think in the next few months or maybe a year, I think it'll become a lot more popular. And we've basically come full circle in the hobby, from big quads to tiny ass quads, like back to 6-inch. I've basically been flying 6-inch for the last 4 years, like nonstop, just because the area I'm in is much better. You have to cover ground. It's hard to do it with a 5-inch. 5.5 makes up a pretty good little difference, but still, for like speed and going out long, I use a 6-inch and a 6-inch HQ carbon composite biprop.
Yeah, I know that's one of your favorite props. You've mentioned that quite a few times.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for manufacturers to catch up and like design some more stuff and use some carbon and make a stiff enough prop that doesn't deflect real easy or whatever. Yeah,
I haven't tried any of the new props I've got on 5S. I've got a bunch of different 6-inch props in here. I've got the Cyclone 6040s. I've got the Luminaire Gatebreaker 6050s, and I just want to try those out and see how they do. I know the 6x5x3 6050 tri-blades from Luminaire. Those work really well on 4S. On 5S, I don't know.
I actually tried them. They do pretty good film. On 5S full throttle, they could deflect a little bit. Okay. My problem with that prop, it's a little steep, so when you slow down, it kind of stalls out, and the quad kind of falls a lot.
Yep.
So
no floating.
Right now, my favorite tri-prop is the Dahl TJ 6.45 tri-prop, which they said they're not going to make anymore.
Okay.
So I'm still trying to talk them into still bringing it back, because I think they were a little early to the game, and they just need to stay in the game and keep making them.
Yep. I've actually got far too many King Kong props here in the 6040s that I've used once in a while, and they do actually produce pretty good footage, but I don't trust them enough to do any long range with them. I've got far too many.
What is that, Hobby King's brand?
Actually, I don't know if it's Hobby King's brand. It's a low cost. I think they're probably Dahl, or probably Dahl knockoffs. I'm not sure if you can see that.
Yeah,
you get a ton of props for really cheap.
I think Hobby King might be the only one that sells that prop. Maybe Banggood, I don't know.
Possibly, very possibly. But yeah, I don't trust them enough to actually use them for any of my long range rigs. So that should tell you something.
Yeah, I'll try them.
Hey, flying around the house, no problem. Great. But going out, no, not going to trust them. I think Jet FPV, he said he tried them and he had them break in midair.
Now, do you like the tri-props, or are you a bigger fan of the biprops in general?
I use what works. I'll put it that way. For the longest time, I used the 6045s on some of my other quads, like the X24 6-inch that I used to run. I used to run the HQ 6x3.5s, and those worked pretty well. They had a little bit of vibration, but those are the bi-blades. now I'm looking more at tri-blades just to get cleaner footage.
Yeah. You know me, I try to get the cleanest footage as possible without using Real Steady. You knew that was
coming up. Real Steady does a really nice job. It's just takes so much computing power.
Well, sometimes it adds like a weird warp effect where it just kind of makes the film kind of look weird and stuff. And
that too. Basically, what it does is when it moves, when you do something really quick, it'll basically like zoom in to kind of make it look smooth, and that really does. It doesn't look so nice.
So I take it you use Premiere to do all your video editing.
Now I'm using Premiere. Previously, I was using, for probably the first 2.5 years, I was using KDE and Live, which is an editor for Linux.
Gotcha.
And I liked that. Unfortunately, they did some changes with it, and it now no longer does, like the video previews doesn't work very well. So you can't use, I built this big hunkin' ass machine to do video rendering, and I can't watch 4K video on it. I can't render 4K video on it, or at least I can't preview the video. So with that, I said, okay, no, got to leave it. And I started looking at Macintosh and Premiere. I think I've tried DaVinci Resolve as well, but I ended up staying with Premiere just to have access to After Effects.
Yeah, right now I'm using Sony Vegas Pro 13. It's
okay.
I mean, it does the job well. It's not that expensive. It has some cool effects to it. I don't even know if it has a stabilizer in it because I haven't used it.
I prefer unstabilized footage. If I had my between stabilized footage and unstabilized footage, I prefer unstabilized footage. But if it's not watchable, then yeah, I gotta stabilize.
Yeah. So, are you shooting at 60 frames per second?
Yeah, I do 60 frames per second. I'm not a fan of the 30 frames.
Me neither. Are you also doing 1080 or are you doing 2.7?
I'm doing the.
Oh yeah, you can't do 2.7 at 60.
No, I'm using the 1440, which is actually it's actually a square. It's 4:3, so I just crop off whatever is not visible.
Oh wow, I never even thought about doing that.
Yeah, I don't think it really gains you that much, to be honest.
Gotcha.
Maybe you could do the super view using, doing that manually. Do you use super view?
Yeah, I use super view, but the one problem when you're mountain surfing, it shrinks the mountains way down. They don't look nearly as big.
Exactly. That's one of the reasons why I don't use super view. If I'd be flying more flat stuff, I'd probably use super view much more. But since I'm in the mountains, no super view. Basically, just the wide.
Yeah. So and then 30 frames seem to be more choppy, even though they say it's smoother. But the quality of the ground when you're going down low, it has a lot more like
blocks, things like that. Video artifacts. Yep. And turns as well. When you're doing turns, you get a little bit of stutter.
So, what quad are you flying right now, mainly?
Right now, pretty much the only two that I've got running well is my Alien. That's a 4.5 Alien, a 4-inch body with a 5-inch arms.
Gotcha.
I actually bought that when it came out, when the Alien came out. So it's 2 years old, 2.5 years old now. And the TBS G2. So those are the two main quads at the moment. I'm actually missing a good 6-inch like power quad.
What are you saying?
Huh?
What are you saying?
Hint.
He's plugging for a frame.
No, I've my 6-inch power quad, which is the X24 right there. It's got the 6-inch arms on it. That's the one that blew an ESC. So I don't have any ESCs to replace it. So
sorry, one of those quads looks like it might have some old Grumpners on there. No?
Those are actually, let me grab that. Here we go. Those are actually T-Motor.
Oh, gotcha.
T-Motor carbon fiber. That's it. This is immersion RC special.
Yeah, those are probably the most expensive, best carbon props that were ever on the market, but they're so flat, they have no pitch to them.
Exactly. That's my main problem. They're 9x3s.
Yeah.
So with the motors I've got on here are the 920 kV T motors, 2212s.
Yeah.
And they just no grunt. No grunt.
Yeah.
It really needs 5 to 6S to do anything worthwhile.
Yeah, 6S on that might be pretty damn good.
Yeah, exactly. But unfortunately, I've got KISS ESCs on it, so it's
never mind.
Yeah, 5S is about the best it's going to do. But yeah, 9-inch props. Yeah, a buddy of mine got those for me, Gonzalo, gone to Q. He's in the chat somewhere, but he got those for me. Got them off of TVS for with one of their specials. They were having a warehouse.
These guys are an epic.
There you go. Listen to them.
Listen to them. I might be able to epic and let you see what it's all about.
Yeah, I'd like to take a look at it. That I was about to say that frame reminds me a lot of the Blackout 330. Remember those?
Yeah, I do. That was right when my frame came out, and it was one of the first frames to ever have a camera right up front like mine does.
Yep.
So I actually took a part out of their book with that, and that was a big, huge, heavy old frame but light for back in the day.
Yep. I actually had one of those. I had a Blackout 330 that I got that for running my good old GoPro Hero 3. Unfortunately, I think it was cursed.
Yeah.
Basically, I think I've destroyed it at least 2 or 3 times. I had a real problem. They used the nylon bolts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheaper to replace nylon bolts than the carbon, right? Unfortunately,
it just explodes.
Yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, when you hit the ground, basically they had a battery firewall in it.
Yeah.
In between the top plate and the bottom plate. And whenever you hit the ground, the battery would launch forward and it would hit the firewall. And that would mean the whole top plate just...
Yeah.
Everything goes everywhere. If you got anything bolted to the top plate, kiss it goodbye. The camera, the FPV camera that sat up top. So I destroyed a bunch of cables and I said, okay, no nylon. We're going steel or aluminum bolts. And that worked.
Well, that's what's so crazy these days. Back in the day, like the technology was just not there. When you crash, it was a freaking write-off. Like it was so expensive.
Exactly.
I mean, everything broke. The arms broke. I mean, everything was thrashed. And it was way harder to fly than it is today, with these modern flight controllers.
Definitely.
Everything is so much cheaper. It's like a race to the bottom. Like everything is cheap now. Like my very first year in this hobby, I spent $22,000. I was so addicted. I was a quad junkie, like full blown. And, I bought a F550 that was built for me for $2,300. And I didn't know anything about it. And I just, the guy that built it put the compass on backwards.
Oh,
so I put it up in the air, and it was about 100 feet in the air, and it started fucking flying everywhere. There was like kids out in the driveway, and I started yelling at them, "Get in the house! This is a fucking flying chainsaw!" And I took off running, and this thing's just flying every direction, and it hit my neighbor's roof about 45 miles an hour, and it exploded. And I was like, "Fuck." $2,300 gone, just like that.
Oh shit!
There was nothing left of it. I mean, the motors were thrashed. I mean, it was just done. So that's when I started getting into I was trying to figure out, what direction I was going to go after that.
And it's how many Phantoms did you lose as well? 6?
I didn't lose them all. I like crashed a couple.
Yeah. Okay.
I lost one because I let the battery, drain out way over the mountains. I mean, so it's just like,
Yeah.
I was a full blown addict when it came to FPV. Once I put those goggles on, it changed everything.
I know what you're saying, man. My first quad flight was I had an X525 from Hobby King that I built. That was the first quad I built, not even FPV, and I was using the Multi-Wii flight controller.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me so long trying to get it up in the air. And I finally got it up in the air, but I had changed the yaw. I had reversed the yaw for some reason in the flight control software. So I get it up in the air, and this is outside my office at work in a really small section of grass. I figured, no, I'm just going to put it up in the air just a little bit, and if it goes out of control, I'll bring it down. It launched in the air and started spinning around. I'm like, oh shit. Cars, just there's a road on one side and a parking lot on the other side, and this probably 20-foot, 30-foot section of grass where I'm trying to fly the thing. So I bring it down, and of course, it lands on the dean's car.
Oh, wow.
So it scratched it a little bit and then kind of fell off. But, I had to tell the dean, yeah, sorry, I scratched your car with my quadcopter. That
reminds me of a story where they say always take off the props, right?
Yeah.
I had this DJI 550 with a 10-inch T-motor carbon props in my office here, and I'm doing the software, and all of a sudden the damn thing spools up. And
oh my God.
The battery goes flying off, but it shot up in the air, hit the roof, came down, spun upside down, and was upside down spinning, and it got me right in my little toe.
Oh, shit.
I was like, oh no, it doesn't hurt. I'm like, oh shit, yeah, it does. And then I was looking at my toe, and all of a sudden the line opened up and just blood was gushing out of it. I was like,
oh shit.
Yeah. I'm lucky it didn't take my toe off. I mean, in the office, it was a chainsaw flying around my office. I mean, I was scared. From now on, I'm like, take the props off. No matter what, get the props off. So
the worst that I think I've damaged myself is I was up in the mountains once with Australian guy came to visit, the guy that made Drone Wolf, the Drone Wolf pup frames. He came to visit, and I was wandering down, and I had my transmitter on the neck strap. And it flipped around, hit the switch with my belly, and the thing armed in my hand and took off just the tip of my fingertip with a prop. Just whoop. And those were with the HQ props. So, those things broken. You looked at them and they break. Carbon fiber? No.
Yeah. Let's talk about some old props. What about those old Jim Fan 5040s that came out? Those things would snap in midair.
Yes, they would. Those were actually my favorite props. I didn't really like the HQ 5040s.
Gotcha. But back in the day, the prop selection was just like none.
there were no props. There were none. Gem Fan 5030s or HQ 5040s.
Yeah, no, there was nothing. And then I had I had one of those blackout hex quads with those things on there, and I put 5S on it. And this is back in the day where way back in the day. And I got it on a maiden run, punched it, and the thing just came flying out of the air because it spun all the props off and just snapped them. And I was just and this is on those old 1805, 2300 kV, those fault motors. Yeah. So it's just
I'm surprised that they actually survived 5S.
Yeah, I think basically it probably sagged the battery so much that it didn't pull full amperage and didn't burn them up.
Yeah, because Blackout was pushing 4S for a while. Prior to Blackout, he was flying. It was basically just 3S.
Yeah. Well, it was 2S first, then it was 3S, and then guys were on 4S, and then I was trying 5S, and then I dabbled a little bit in 6S, but back in the day when 6S blew up everything, you just plug it in and your ESC smokes. I mean, bad back in the day, like the 6S, was frying everything, and the ESCs were humongous.
Exactly.
With, dual capacitors on there, running old Simon K software, and like stuff that's just like, a couple times you would try to mix certain motors with certain ESCs, and it would just desync so bad. It just wouldn't work at all. No, so the technology that's come in the last 4 years has been absolutely insane.
Definitely. I mean, the rate of progression of the hobby, I will say, has impressed me. I mean, I can't keep up. The new flight controllers coming out. There's a new flight controller coming out each day. I just can't keep up. I can't try it all. So
no, there's new ESCs. There's a million different motor combinations coming out. There's size cells. I mean, just everything. And that's part of like owning a shop. I like kind of stepped back and did like a TBS kind of shop where I sell my style of stuff that I like to fly, and I know that works. And I keep it real small and kind of niche market, because if you try to carry everything, it's just like everything has like a 2-week shelf life. Nobody wants it after the V2 comes out, 2 weeks after the V1 comes out. So,
no, I think I think you've got a good strategy there, because I mean that's really the only way you can survive in this market. Unless you're the top dog, unless you're the one doing the innovating, and if you're a small shop, it's impossible to do that.
Definitely. And that's what, hats off to Trappy. I've known forever. He's been innovating days one step ahead of everybody for the most part. And, he gets pissed off at the cloners, and I get it, because his money was in the innovation part, it was to be stolen. And, so.
Yeah, he does good stuff. I have a lot of respect for Trappy. I've got a lot of respect for everybody in this hobby. If you've got a shop if you've got a shop for more than 3 years, you're doing something right.
Or you have a good job that supports it. You're not collecting.
That's true. Yeah.
So back in the day, we were flying the immersion.
I don't even know. I'm not sure I have one here. I think I gave all of mine away. No, I lie.
Yes. Oh, the 5.8. Yeah, the FP.
Yeah, I got the 5.8. I got a 2.4 here as well.
Yeah, remember a long time ago that 5.8 was like gold. If you had it, like you could charge 3 times the amount, because they were out of stock everywhere. Nobody had them, and everybody was fiending for this FPV. Just to,
this is
everybody had it.
I don't know if you caught it, but this is actually a new one, because it's got race band on it.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Now those things are huge to today's standard and heavy. You know.
Yeah. I'm not even sure how much this weighs. I can check it right quick, but got to be at least 3-4 grams. No, I lied. 14 grams.
Yeah, 14 grams. I mean, that's 10 grams basically heavier than TBS.
Yep.
And speaking of that TBS, that Crossfire, like, that's the shit right there. I mean, back in the day when I was flying the Immersion 433, if you didn't have the right software, I would be fail-safing. I mean, that thing was always, something was going wrong with it when I was trying to.
I had real problems with the Easy UHF. I tried it. That's what probably. When did I first try that? Must have been in early 2016, maybe even 2015. And I had it on my Cinetank. I had it on my Tankito 30. And the Tankito 30, I flew it probably about 200 meters from myself, and it just basically fell out of the sky. And so I was like, oh, that's weird. And I tried it again, different location, got probably about 500 meters and fell out of the sky. I turned around and it just basically failed safe.
I had the same problem. I actually had a QAV 400 with it on there, and I didn't set the fail-safe or anything, and I took off straight up in the air, and then I was like, wait a minute, nothing's happening. Nothing's happening, and this fucking thing is climbing straight up at about 3/4% throttle, right? And I have a 1.3 on this thing, and it's still climbing. And I have I have a 4S like 3300 on it, rocking the old T-motor 2216 1100 kV on 8-inch props. And this thing is going straight up in the air. And I have my goggles on, and I'm watching it climb like to the fucking moon. Like it's like way up there. And it's climbing for about 2.5 minutes, like almost full throttle. And I'm thinking, holy shit, this thing's going to come down and go through somebody's roof of their house or something like neighborhood. And I'm watching it with the 1.3, and the earth is like starting to curve, like it's so fucking high up there, right? And then the video starts fading out, so I'm like, oh, the battery's dying. So now it's coming straight back down, and I'm through my goggles and looking at it, and I don't even know where it's at, and I'm trying to think, where the hell is this thing gonna fall? And it's falling straight down, straight even. And I live near a graveyard, a cemetery next door. And I'm like waiting for it to come down, and my video's starting to go out, so the battery's almost dead. So this thing comes flying up this out of the sky about a minute later, and I hear this big boom. It's about 400 yards over. So I jump in my car, go over to the cemetery, and I'm looking through there, and there it was on a gravestone, just exploded everywhere. And I'm like, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do this to the person who was obviously dead. I mean, so I just like got all the pieces, threw it in the truck, and took off again. But after that, it made me pretty damn gun shy with those. So then I started going back to flying the 2.4 after that.
I had a similar situation. I was took off with the Cinetank. It got about 20 meters up, maybe not even that, maybe 10 meters up, and just wouldn't respond to anything. It was in pause hold, or I forget what it was, GPS lock, just sitting there hovering, and it wasn't responding to any commands. I was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? It's like a little bit over a cliff. I don't want to come down because I'm going to have to go down the cliff. But eventually I flipped it into high power mode, and that luckily recovered signal, and I could fly. But from that point, no.
I remember flying that old Centake, and I had a NASA on there. And to fly that thing on manual, like it just didn't like it. Did not like it. I mean, it was just like
that NASA was never very good for manual.
No, absolutely not. But I had so many NASAs laying around, I had to start throwing them and stuff. And just all I can say is thank God for CC3D and those guys that push this hobby where it is today. I mean, for AP rigs, I like the Cinetank, not the Cinetank, the Pixhawk flight controller. That works really well. I never really used that too much because I was selling NAS at the time, and that Pixhawk wasn't that popular until I was already kind of doing mini quads and stuff. I kind of want to put one of those on a longer range rig just to have like return to home. Not a bad idea. I mean, you can get the Pix Racer, which is basically a 36 by 36 board, and it comes with GPS. And if you use Crossfire with it, it's a really nice combination. Gotcha.
The Crossfire will pick up the telemetry from the Pix Racer, Pixhawk, APM, Ardu Pilot, whatever you want to call it, and transmit it back over the telemetry link. So of the Crossfire. So you don't even need an extra radio to have telemetry. You can use your phone as a little ground station, and
Oh, that's cool.
track where your quad goes just by using your phone, because it's Bluetooth. The Bluetooth on the Crossfire transmitter. Really cool. Anyway,
I'm reading some of the comments here.
Yeah. Launched his quad through the kitchen ceiling. Gotta give a shout out to the guys in the chat. We have Mike Stevens. I think he's gone for dinner. Dr. DZ, FPV, Gone Q, G10, Garrus Fly. Guerrero, yeah, Guerrero Flies. He wants to know what you're drinking, Richard.
Drinking water.
Water, healthy. I was having Patagonia Pale Ale tonight. It's over now, so it was good.
Time for a refill.
No, I'm one a night. One every Saturday night. I drink so much. Right. I think, do you need the big Crossfire to have Bluetooth connectivity? Yes, you do. That is only available on the big Crossfire. The Micro TX does not have that.
My advice is everybody should own the big Crossfire.
Yeah, mine too. And if you're going to get Crossfire, you're probably going to want to go long range eventually. So just go all in.
Yeah, spend the extra $100, get it. If you mount your antenna horizontally, just crank the power up to 2 watts and just forget about it. You're good to go.
Exactly. Do you run dynamic or not?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of debate out there about whether you should run dynamic or not. I've been running dynamic for 2 years since I started using Crossfire. So
yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I haven't had any problems. So
exactly. That's my point as well. A lot of people complain about not being able to judge if they're going to fail safe or not because of the link quality that changes with the power. And that's why you should be looking at RSSI. So if you're using the FP Vision or the TBS Core PNP Pro, that displays both the link quality, the power, and the RSSI. What video transmitters are you using? You're using Unifies?
I have Unifies in 2 of my quads, and then I'm using the old Hawkeye 200 milliwatt and all the rest. And I've gone out 2 miles on that 200 milliwatt because it's not really 200 milliwatt. I actually tested it at 438 milliwatts.
Really?
So
yeah, that's pretty decent.
Yeah, it's like back in the day, it was like for racing, it was blowing everybody's signal out of the water.
Yeah. I can imagine it probably wouldn't be too happy. The other racers probably would not be too happy with that.
Yeah, and like I had to get rid of those out of my shop because all these fines were coming from the FAA about the these China TXs running illegal channels and shit. And I was like, I didn't want any part of no fine. I'm not even making money now, so I don't want to go. I'm not even making money on. So
understandable. Have you tried the FP Vision?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I really like that as a solution. If it came in a 2.4 gigahertz version, I'd be like that'd be all I run. But on 5.8, I think that's probably one of the best solutions that I found, especially with Crossfire, because it's just got that nice integration between the Crossfire, the OSD, and the video transmitter.
Now, let me ask you a question about motors. Like you were talking about my high-powered setups and stuff like that. What KV are you flying mainly?
Depends. The Alien 4.5 on the 5-inch, that's a 2350, I think.
Okay.
Maybe 2450. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. They're the Rotor Geek 2206 motors.
Gotcha.
The G2 is running the 1450 kV TBS endurance motors. And the X24 is running F80 2200 kVs.
Have you tried those F80s on 5S?
I have. That's how I blew up the ESCs, actually.
Were you running caps on that quad that you blew that up with?
No, I was not.
Gotcha.
It had run 4S without a problem. On 5S, it ran okay for a little while. I got enough flights in with it on the 6030s, the HQ 6030s, tri-blades, that, you know, I could tell that those weren't the best props. So it was working, and then just took off with the 6040s probably about 2 seconds into the flight, 3 seconds into the flight, and just fell out of the sky.
All right, next question. Do you have a session?
GoPro session? Ooh. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
The GoPro session, or?
Yeah, do you have a session 5 or 4?
1 session 4, 2 session 5s.
Okay. I might have to send you a 262 with some motor so I could show you what's up, man.
Yeah, I'd like to try that. I just picked up 4 or 3 5S batteries just to have a play with 5S to see what it's like. I wanted to do some efficiency testing, and I'd really like to do efficiency testing to see, you know, long range, if 5S is worth it in terms of weight, in terms of the watts that's used.
Yeah, you know what? I don't know how much difference in the actual flight time you will actually get between, you know, 4S, 5S, 6S. It's kind of like, you know, it's not a huge difference according to Mike Stevens and stuff, and he's done a lot of efficiency testing and stuff. But for me, like, I basically plan a mission. If I'm like, okay, I could reach the top of this mountain in, you know, 45 seconds, I could do 6 punch outs and still make it back. You know what I mean? Yep. So I kind of like judge the mission on, you know, how I fly. You know, if I need to fly farther, I just fly slower to get there.
Yep.
So
yeah, I do a lot of the same. If I really want to go far, I'll use the G2 with 4S and a big ass honking battery.
Yeah.
Just because I know that'll get there, right?
Yeah.
If more mountain surfing stuff, more mid-range, short range, then I'm interested in the 5S setups to see how it runs.
You know, the 5S setups, for me, it just has like that extra turbo on the top end.
Yeah.
Just, you know, it depends on your style of flying. I like doing huge punch outs and then turning around looking down at the earth, you know, while you're just orbiting, you know. So it's, you know, different strokes for different folks and stuff like that. Some of these guys I hear talk about, they just want long range. Yeah. And for me, sometimes I think, you know, I was that guy, and once I did the slow long range once, I was over it. Now I wanted to go fast. Yeah. So it's just like when you try to take a low KV motor fast, you basically nuke the battery. So it's kind of like I would rather have a mid-range KV motor going fast at low throttle and still nuke the battery, you know, at the top end.
Yep.
You know?
I think it's interesting. I mean, I fly like I like to fly. I'm going to put it that way. The long range stuff I like trying to get to the top of the mountains, but it's not my main aim, right? I don't want to go the farthest. I don't want to go the highest. I just want to do, you know, oh, it'd be cool to try to reach the top of that mountain. Can I get up there? Oh yeah, how I can. Cool. You know, but if I'm flying for fun, if I'm flying normally, it's mid-range stuff.
Well, so you live in a beautiful area that's, you know, have FPV written all over it.
It's got a large variety of different terrain, and that's what I like. Here, where I'm at, is more kind of farmland, maybe planted forests. And then I can go maybe 2 hours up into the mountains, or I could go 2 hours to the coast. So it's really nice. And then
find your area. Do you go on Google Maps and just like search that way like I do, or no?
Yeah. I spent a lot of time when I first started flying FPV. Spent a lot of time just scouring Google Maps and mainly the pictures on Google Maps. So Google Maps had the pictures associated. So I'd look at the pictures and I say, "Oh, that looks nice. Where the heck is that?" And then figure out how to get there.
See, my problem after flying like 5 years, I've already sucked all the resources dry within 100 miles. So it's just things just like starts looking the same, and it just is, it's hard to keep stuff fresh.
Exactly. That's a lot of my problem now is to go to a new place. I have to really get out there. I don't know last year if you caught it, but I drove probably 12 hours to the north up into the Atacama. And earlier in the year, I had traveled south, probably 2,000 to 2,500 kilometers south to Patagonia, just because I wanted to get different terrain. And that was hard. I can't do that all the time.
Well, and here's the thing. If you drive all the way down there, you better make sure the weather's good, because you get down there, it's windier and shit. Your footage is all fucked and you're screwed. Exactly.
Or you got to make sure your quad is working.
Absolutely. That's why I got 7 of them.
Yeah. My main problem when I went north, we drove that 12 hours with Gons. I spent, I don't know, had altitude sickness. We were up above 4,000 meters, 3,900 meters, right around there, which is what, 12,000, 13,000 feet, somewhere around there. And spent the night, really cold night in a refuge, just cold, miserable altitude sickness. I don't know if you've ever had altitude sickness, but it's nasty. It's like a flu, but worse. And so did that, flew all these new nice places, and realized as I was coming home that I had the stabilization on the GoPro.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
So all the footage was ruined. Basically, all the footage was this shaky jello.
But you actually have to tune your quad different when you're in higher altitude.
Yeah. I know that. I know that. But even still, some of the footage I got at 2,000 meters I filmed it in the 30 frame or 4K 30 frames per second, and that doesn't use stabilization.
Gotcha.
And that came out really nice. As soon as they turned the stabilization on, or turned it to 60 frames per second, it defaulted back to the stabilized footage, and that just ruined the footage. So lesson learned there. Always check your GoPro.
So let me ask you a question. With this show that you have on, you're promoting a lot of long range and mid range, and just kind of getting out your feelers out there and kind of help the community.
Yeah, basically, I really want to do something that because you've got most of the FPV shows are general or freestyle, things like that. I really want to talk to the guys that are interested in long range, into the mid range, long range, mountain flying, getting out and exploring. So that's really what I want to talk about in these shows, and find out who the people are behind the hobby.
Absolutely. And I think we have a lot of unique guys out there that are pretty, experienced in that genre. And I don't know, Mike Virgin, I'd like to see on the show.
Yeah, I'd like to have him on the show.
Mike Stevens, I'd like to see him on the show as well. He has a lot of knowledge when it comes to, you know, longer distance flying and stuff. He does a lot of testing.
Yep, yep. I've chatted with him quite a lot on Facebook. So,
Gotcha.
I'd like to get I'd like to get some of the OGs on as well. I was talking to Justin Juice 70. I'd like to get him on.
Yeah, it would be definitely be an interesting show to see. You know, he was considered once the world's best pilot, and now like, I'm not saying he's not good, but everybody's on their simulators, and like all these gaming kids are all playing and shit, and it's just like everyone can do flips and yaw rolls and everything else. I mean, there's only so much. That's what's kind of brought me back to the mid-range, long, cruising, relaxing style. You don't have to worry about nothing. It's very, you know, it's just relaxing to fly that style, you know, instead of being so, you know.
Exactly. And one of the things I still love Juice's videos because his style is, he's got flips, he's got rolls, he's got that, but he still imbues the joy of flight.
Yes.
And that, I think, a lot of people don't do in their videos.
I totally agree. Like, in my videos, I try to like get some super low footage, then medium range, and then really high, because it gives like a full picture of where you are when you're flying, and it just adds a lot of, you know, value to your video and stuff, and people can kind of visualize everything a lot more, and you know, it's kind of a cool factor just to, you know. Problem is remembering doing it each time, like go high, guys, go low, or whatever. So I don't know.
It's the variety.
Yeah.
So your videos, do you do a lot of cutting, or is it more just one take?
I try to change it up a lot. I like try to do like two or 3 minutes just of like one full scene, just to show how far I've gone out and this and that and this, and then like I'll shake it up the next week and put a bunch of cool stuff together just to break up the monotony of the same old thing and stuff, and just kind of see what works, see what gets more hits, what more people like, and that kind of thing, and just see like what people are into.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard being a video producer in this day and age. Previously, I think it was much easier to get views, much easier to get people interested in your channel. Nowadays, I
actually call it, I have a term for it. It's called pouring out.
Yeah, exactly.
Once they've already seen flips and rolls in some of the most beautiful places on earth, if you're just flying out in the field, it's no big deal. They're just going to click right by it.
Yeah, exactly. You know? So there's the pressure there. You know, once you get a certain number of subscribers, you need to. What's the next big thing I'm going to do? How am I going to keep them interested? And it's hard.
And then, you know, you have to be in a good location as well. Like live in a place that you get to this stuff. Like if I lived in LA, like 100 miles from here, I wouldn't even probably fly quads, just because it's just like way too crowded. There's nowhere to fly. The parks are filled with dog walkers. You're going to kill somebody with the quad trying to fly low at 60 miles an hour. It's just like, that's why I just started heading out to the mountains and flying that like 4 years ago, after almost killing somebody in a park down here, them yelling at me. And, you know, these people walk right in front of you. They think you can see them. They don't realize that you're seeing what the goggles are seeing. I kind of gave up on that scene and just started mountain surfing. And it was so much easier not dealing with, you know, wondering if you're going to hit somebody, or people walking up to you that, you know, asking you questions. Hey, how much does that cost? How long does it fly? Blah, blah, blah. And you're like, hey, wait, I'm flying. I need to concentrate. You know, I'll answer your questions as I land. It's just like the whole ordeal. So I just go out as far as I can and fly.
Yeah. I generally don't like people. So, you know, I'll get away as far away from them as possible. So that's why I started flying where I fly. I did do some flying downtown. One of my videos shows like the square. I actually got down there at 6 a.m. to do that, and that's probably the last time I'm going to do something like that. Now it's just out in the mountains, enjoying myself, enjoying the scenery, and yeah. Right. Well, I think we're.
Well, if you got them, that's what Free Pilot just said.
Yep.
I feel sorry for the guys that don't have any mountains.
The guys in Florida, the guys in Iowa, I feel sorry for them, but
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Well, sounds like you're ready to wrap up the show. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. It's we're going on an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes, so good time to wrap it up. Thanks for coming on. It's been great chatting with you.
All right.
Get in touch about that epic.
Oh yeah, look at he's hitting me up.
Hey, you offered, man.
I did offer. I actually hooked up Kidder with a frame. He was crying so much about him losing it on your last episode. I felt bad for him. I'm like, might as well just send him a frame. It don't cost that much, so.
Well, the nice thing here is if you get me a frame and it works well, I can show it off to the guys in Chile, and you'll probably get more.
Hell, it takes 3 weeks to ship down there. They ain't gonna buy nothing from me.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
So, hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your questions. And hey, what's up, Corn Dog?
Mike says, ironically, he just walked his dogs.
Yeah, he's got a greyhound little dog or whatever he's got.
And Shane just joined us as well.
All right, so next week I'm sure he'll have somebody else.
Yeah, actually, next week I'm probably not going to be here. I want to be up in the mountains. We've got a long weekend, so Saturday night I might be flying, hopefully. Right. So thank you guys. Thank you, Richard. And we will see you guys next week, or perhaps next week, if not the week after, for the next edition of the Long Range Corner.
All right, cool.
See you guys.
Thanks.